China's push to commission the Fujian aircraft carrier is part of a broader campaign to present its military as modern, capable, and equal in stature to the most experienced navies in the world. However, this effort is deeply shaped by domestic political needs, information control, and a desire to project power beyond its actual operational reach. The Fujian is frequently described by Chinese state sources as a major step forward, equipped with new technologies and representing a leap in maritime strength. But behind that presentation is a far more complex and questionable reality that exposes both technical limitations and the manipulative nature of the narrative surrounding it. From a technical standpoint, the Fujian's most widely publicized innovation is its electromagnetic aircraft launch system, a shift away from the older ski-jump method used on China's previous two carriers. In theory, this allows for more efficient launches of heavier aircraft. But implementing such a system involves more than just installing new machinery. It requires reliable power generation and distribution systems, deep integration with onboard aircraft handling protocols, safety redundancies, and continuous testing under stress conditions. None of this can be developed quickly or in isolation. True effectiveness of such a system must be proven through sustained operations in real conditions, not simulations or controlled trials. Given the carrier has only recently completed sea trials, and China has no prior experience managing such a system at sea, there is legitimate doubt about how much of this capability is actually operational, and how much is being rushed for political gain. The carrier's reliance on conventional propulsion is another major limitation that contradicts the image of a world-class naval platform. A non-nuclear powered carrier must return to port regularly for refueling, which sharply reduces its range, endurance, and ability to remain on station during extended deployments. Nuclear propulsion, while more complex and expensive, is a defining feature of modern, globally capable carriers. China's decision to stick with conventional power suggests either a lack of confidence in its nuclear propulsion programs or an unwillingness to take on the engineering and training challenges necessary to support such vessels. Either way, it limits the Fujian's strategic usefulness in a real conflict or sustained overseas operation. Despite these limitations, Chinese media has presented the Fujian as a fully modern, competitive platform, without providing credible evidence of its actual performance. The timing of its expected commissioning around significant national anniversaries or ceremonial events suggests that symbolism is prioritized over readiness. By anchoring the carrier's public debut to patriotic dates, the government leverages the platform not as a tool of deterrence or defense, but as a tool of political theater. It becomes a floating billboard for national power, not a tested asset of military effectiveness. This pattern of overstatement fits a well-established trend in Chinese military messaging. Major platforms are often unveiled with carefully staged fanfare, but follow-up details on real operational progress are vague, inconsistent, or absent. In many cases, performance issues or delays are never acknowledged. The lack of transparency makes it difficult, if not impossible, to verify what has actually been achieved. This is not a matter of secrecy for strategic purposes, it is deliberate narrative control. In China, military achievements serve as propaganda instruments first and foremost, and their presentation is tightly managed by the state to avoid any questioning of the government's competence or decision-making. Within China, public discourse about military programs is not only filtered but actively enforced. The average citizen cannot legally question the development of military platforms like the Fujian. Open analysis by independent journalists, academics, or industry experts is extremely rare and discouraged. Citizens caught sharing unauthorized information related to military construction or testing can face criminal charges. This extreme control over military information means the image of the Fujian seen by both Chinese citizens and the outside world is curated, rehearsed, and ultimately manufactured for political consumption. Even among informed observers abroad, there is growing awareness that China's approach to naval development is as much about appearance as capability. Building large and impressive-looking vessels is not the same as developing an effective navy. A credible maritime force depends not just on ships, but on training, doctrine, command experience, support infrastructure, international logistics, and the ability to operate in complex, high-pressure environments. China is still in the early stages of developing most of these areas. It has no history of sustained overseas naval operations and minimal real experience conducting carrier-led combat missions, fleet coordination in hostile environments, or joint operations across multiple domains. The Fujian, despite its size and public profile, as only the third in a fleet that has yet to demonstrate even the most basic principles of carrier warfare in contested or extended theaters. Another concern is the habit of using military hardware as a substitute for diplomatic engagement. China frequently uses the unveiling of new ships and other military assets to send political messages to its neighbors or rivals. In the case of the Fujian, its deployment has already been framed in terms of extending Chinese influence in key maritime regions, including areas with long-standing territorial disputes. But such displays of hardware do not automatically translate into control or deterrence. They may in fact provoke stronger reactions from other nations, who see these moves as threatening and destabilizing rather than impressive. The Fujian's existence might be intended to project confidence, but it may instead reveal insecurity, a desire to be perceived as powerful without the deep foundation necessary to actually back it up. In real strategic terms, the Fujian does not represent a transformation in global naval power. It represents an ambition. It is a symbol of a country attempting to portray itself as a military peer to the most advanced powers, using the language of technology and might. But ambition without experience, planning without transparency, and equipment without reliable performance do not produce lasting strength. The story being told about the Fujian is loud and clear, but when stripped of official slogans, filtered data, and political timing, it tells a more familiar story: a government eager to appear powerful, building complex systems it may not yet understand how to fully use, and enforcing a strict silence over anyone who dares to question the results.